Bye. Yep.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey,
how's
how
it
are you?
going? Good, good. All right. All right, let's get this Instagram started. Hey guys, I'm really excited about today's guests and welcome to this week's podcast episode. We're trying this
There.
new
Hey,
live.
how are you?
We're going to talk about Kyle Perry. He's a mindset, fitness, and nutrition coach. He's also a U.S. military Corps veteran, and I love having military on my show because it talks about mindset, fitness, getting things done, discipline, and habits. So a little bit about Kyle, and he's going to talk a little bit about his journey. His mission is to help men, veterans become strong, healthy. He's talking about masculinity, and today is going to be talking about weight loss, mindset, improving your goals, fitness and goals. And with that, thanks so much for
Thanks for
coming
having me,
on.
sir.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know for all the audience out there tuning in, thanks. And, we're experimenting with this, but tell the audience about your background and your journey, and we'll get
Awesome.
started.
I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and then you know how everyone gets out and they kind of lose their way for a little bit. I was working on my corporate job all the way through, worked all the way up to like a plant manager. I was like the youngest chemical plant manager on paper. I was only 26 running a full chemical plant, but I didn't feel like I was fulfilling my purpose anymore. And I had gained weight, kind of gave up on fitness, so I decided to stop drinking because you know everyone celebrates with alcohol when it comes to the corporate world. And the Marine Corps is the same way. So I just carried that lifestyle over. And one day I decided to start taking health and fitness really serious again. And I went from 278 as of this morning. I'm down to 180 or 179. And my goal is just to teach other people that if they have extreme accountability, they can do whatever they want in their life. Because I left a corporate job that was paying me close to $100,000 a year with bonus to pursue my dream of just helping others and helping get veterans sober. And I won't stop until I accomplish some part of my mission.
Yeah, and it's what a fascinating story because talking about people numb themselves with either alcohol, their drugs, could be porn, could be television, Netflix, food. There's so many distractions today. So what I love about the military mindset is that it's basically habits and discipline, and you can carry it over into different walks of your life. So I love mindset. So what creates a unbreakable mindset?
So I always tell people that reach out to me, because I have people reach out to me all the time in my DMs like, hey, I want to start living life like you. If you wanted to start it, you would have already internalized the change and started figuring it out. Some people just say that to feel like they're holding themselves accountable, but they're not actually holding themselves accountable. You know what I mean? They kind of want, like, I'll have people say, hey, I'm going to sign up with you 6 months from now. But they're just saying that so they can say they reached out to a fitness person to say they're going to start the journey. But in reality, they haven't even internalized the change yet. So it'll never happen. That's why I don't call myself a fitness coach. I hate when people are like, you still doing your little fitness thing? Like, I'm a mindset, fitness, and nutrition coach, because the mindset has to come first or everything else fails. And that goes with anything in life.
Yeah. And so one thing that talks about mindset is this idea of belief. So kind of talk about how, the military prepared you to have unshakable beliefs.
So you're in an environment where you have no family and you have no friends, and you're rebuilding your entire life. And most people, especially the Marine Corps, 0.08% of the entire world ever join it. So to expect normal people to understand your mindset of like dark humor, working long hours, just being able to do the grit work no matter what, it's very hard for people to be able to understand you could actually push your body that far, because they've never pushed their body that far. So it builds an extreme accountability into your life, because you can push your body for like 16 hours. We have duty sometimes for 24 hours and go back to work for 6 more hours, then still work out. So you're on like a 36-hour work day, and people complain about 12-hour work days in the normal world because they've never experienced that type of uncomfortable situation. But you just have to get comfortable with it. And I try to teach my clients that. Like, I always tell them I help them build a militant mindset without ever leaving for boot camp.
And then the other question is, with this idea of belief, you have to have some sort of core confidence when you're developing these. And how does we know this with the idea with core confidence, and how does this relate to the things that you learned during training, hardships, trials, tribulations, and so forth?
Confidence is key in anything. If you go into it nervous, like they teach you on the rifle range or anything you do, if you're nervous and you're not actually using the practical skills applied that you've learned, you're gonna. It doesn't matter how good you are. As soon as you start to have self-doubt, it fails. And that goes with business, fitness, relationships, being a better worker. As soon as you have that little bit of that back of your head mindset talking to you, telling you you're not going to make it, it's over. You've already started rolling the snowball down the wrong side of the hill.
And I love this idea of creating momentum. And there's something spiritual about combining the physical rigors and kind of the discipline, and how you create unshakable confidence. The other thing is talk about this idea of, this belief in yourself, this self-esteem, because we talk, you've gone through it, and through addictions and all of that. That's rooted in kind of like, I'm not enough. It could be shame, guilt, trying to overcompensate, these childhood traumas. So how does that self-esteem?
I think a lot of it started off like, I never had a lot of money growing up. So like, I remember my first car was like a $400 car, and the windows didn't even roll down. So that was like a lot of self-doubt I had in myself, because you always hear, oh, your environment creates you. But that's not the truth. you're not a product of your environment. You're a product of your mindset. Like if I was a product of my environment, I'd be dead or in prison like most of my friends. Like my best friend died at 21 of a drug overdose, and my other buddy, he just died like a year ago of a drug overdose. And I still have friends really strung out on drugs that could never get it together. And I could have been the same person because I have a very addictive personality. I've never been big on drugs. I was really big on alcohol. But if you take that addictive personality and you put it streamline it towards something successful like business, entrepreneurship, or being a better worker, you can trick your mind into like, I feel like when I'm doing stuff like this, like what I'm talking about right now, I'm in such a powerful flow state. It's like I'm high. Like I have to come down off these podcasts when I leave, because like it's like I know this is my true purpose, and I almost get like a euphoric feeling from talking about it.
It's interesting because I'm talking to a lot of my last guests that I was interviewing, and basically we're talking about retirement and kind of everybody's trying to get to this age or number, and the assumption is that once you reach it, then you do nothing. But actually, if you look at it, everybody has to have a purpose. They have to have a passion. They have to have a reason and a why, and that kind of propels people. We'll take a short thing, but for all the audience out there, thanks for joining. This is Kyle Perry. He is a mindset, fitness, and nutrition coach. He's a military veteran, and now he's changed his life, and he's helped others to change them as well. So if you're here, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and this will be a regular recurring segment. So talk about this idea, people using addictions to escape their reality. How can you break this cycle of addiction and all
They're
of
just
that?
numbing the real world. Like most men in general can't sit in their own head. If you put them on an island with no cell phone, they'll go absolutely insane. They'll lose their mind. I've got to the point in my life where I could go sit on a remote island and be extremely content and happy for the rest of my life, because I'm comfortable with the person I created on the inside. Most people, they're so scared of their thoughts and just the things that they think about. It's normal to have weird and crazy thoughts. Like we need to start bringing that back into society and let people know you don't need on a bunch of medications to stop it. If you don't feel right, you need to drop down, do some burpees, push-ups, do some activities, because our flight or fight system is broken because we don't use it. We're supposed to be running from jaguars in the jungle and stuff, but instead we're sitting on the couch watching Netflix. And then people wonder why they feel weird. It's because we don't use our bodies anymore.
Yeah, I love this idea because when I watch things like David Goggins and listen to him, it's like discipline, and he's talking about when it's extreme heat, go out and work out. Extreme cold, go out and work out. You're tired, go out and work. Kind of getting your body. There's this the breath, and then there's the mind, and there's the body, and get your body into it. And I think that Tony Robbins also talks about this, changing your physiology, your state, to which is this is why I have influencers such as you on the show. Especially military, because you have to. It's survival, so it's like you're fighting to survive. The other thing is talking about is you talk about food as an addiction and vices. How do people beat their vices?
Yeah, so the first thing is, most people that beat addictions, they don't actually beat addictions. They switch it to the next one. Like if you ever noticed, most people that get sober, they gain a lot of weight after that. They didn't beat their addiction. They beat that form of addiction, but then they put themselves into a form of addicted to food and their emotions. So they're emotionally eating themselves to there. So if you don't, the food is the most important part in any part of our lives. I don't know why we've gotten away from that as a society, but like if you don't fuel your body, that's another reason you feel off and feel weird.
And so the other question is this best diet to follow. You can, you turn into the news, or so there's all these different diets. What is kind of your routine for nutrition?
So I actually, one thing that people always say is like, oh, well, you're not a doctor, but I am a master trainer. So I have over 6 certifications all around nutrition. So I wanted to just let people know that before they say that. The best diet, heart healthy wise, on paper is like the Mediterranean style diet. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what I write down on a piece of paper or what science says if a human can't follow it. They have to be able to find the diet that can actually work for them, that's palatable for their taste buds, and then follow that. So if you like eating McDonald's, you need to find a healthier version of that sandwich to break the vice that you're on now with higher protein and lower calories, and then start swapping stuff out. Like if you're addicted to drinking Coke, do half Coke Zero, half Coke for a week, and then do 3/4 Coke Zero, 1/4 real Coke. So that way, by the time you transition into Coke Zero, you don't even notice the shift and the changes because your mouth was getting used to it over the next few weeks. So many people want to jump off the bridge and go head first, and that's why they fail, because they went too strict too fast, and you just have way too many rebounding emotions over it.
Yeah. The other thing is, how does caloric intake also, because I've been doing a lot of reading, and it talks about, if you calorie restrict yourself, you have a longer life, and, you eat less, you kind of like soups and broths. That's something that is nutritious, but not filling, like they say that, and talk about that.
So that's exactly how I live my life. If you guys watch my Instagram story and how active I am all day, and I only eat 1,800 calories. And so I'm in a constant caloric deficit. One, it makes your cognitive function so much better because you're not bogged down all day by food, by the emotions of food. Once you stop letting food tie you down, it changes so much. Like, yeah, eventually at one point I have to move up to maintenance because you can only burn so much fat. But I'm in a constant calorie deficit because I love how it makes me feel. Some days, like I'll go days without carbs, not because it'll burn more fat, but just because I'm on such a mission to I did like 4 podcasts in one day, and I didn't eat a single thing but protein. And like I just mission to mission to mission to mission. People tie food to their emotions, and that's why it ruins your mindset and your stomach. And then when your gut health's not good, your gut and your brain are simultaneously connected. So if you have a bad gut, you have a bad brain, and vice versa.
It's I used to remember as a med student, people bring like cakes and candy and cookies and all that, and I remember I would, like, when I was younger, I would eat it, and at the end of the day I would just feel awful, and I just like I would have brain fog, and you feel crappy. So, and I love this idea where you're using food as nutrition, but not as like emotional support. And I think that's part of the reason why obesity and all of that. The other thing is what I've recently read is fasting. Like if you fast, some people go. I saw one guy go fasting for almost 30 days or so, just water and but if you do like one fast a week, your body feels much more charged. I think it was because that caloric. But talk about that.
2 things, if you started right now, I can promise you'll feel better. It's not great for muscle building. So if you're like on a muscle building journey, I wouldn't do a bunch of fasting, but it's good for spiritual. I'm very spiritual, so it's good for your spiritual health. That you start praying when you feel like you need to eat, you just pray for strength and things like that. And then your energy levels will skyrocket because your body hyper focuses on wanting to get food when you get so far into fasting that you actually use all your internal driving moments of your body to do what you need to do to get things done, because it needs to hyper focus on food. That's like back to the flight system's broken. We don't utilize those emotions or that state of mind anymore. But fasting, I fast all the time just for religious reasons. And like another thing that a lot of people never do that I think a lot of people should start doing, and there's not a bunch of science behind it, but I think people should donate blood every 8 weeks. I donate blood every time I'm available, and the day after I donate blood, I feel better than I ever have. Which I know that's really big in other countries, actually.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why. Oh, maybe that's quite interesting. I have to look into that. And then and then plus you're doing something good. You're donating your blood for a good thing. Talking about, so the other question I have is this idea of fruits, because fruits contain fructose sugar, and are fruits, do fruits cause you to gain weight, or is it is that sugar okay? Talk about that, because they say carbs are bad for you.
Fruits are amazing. I eat fruit every morning. I eat oatmeal, protein shake, and a whole like heaping thing of fruits in my oatmeal. There's tons of micronutrients in it for your health. Sugars aren't bad for you. The thing is, when most hyper palatable foods, which means it tastes really good on your taste buds, combine carbs and fats. So the calories are just extremely high up there. So people think like one or the other is bad for them, but it's the combination of both that makes the food taste very well. And then that just puts the calorie range really high because the protein's low. So it's not satiating. Kind of like when you eat Chinese food and like an hour later, you're still hungry. It's very palatable, but it's not filling at all.
Yeah, it's like or popcorn like at the movies. I used to eat that, and you just like it tastes good, but then you just at the end of it is like you have these big, buckets, and then you're
Yeah,
just
and
like you're still
it's like
hungry.
2,000 calories for
So
like one of the really big ones with butter and salt and everything.
yeah, so that's so next is food, and then the other question is this idea. So getting lean, this idea of weight. So most people they want to lose weight, but for people they say get protein working out, and then that'll actually boost your metabolism to shave off the fat. So how to lose fat and gain
So
muscle.
that's what I talk about a lot on my Instagram if you guys watch it. I post the same thing every day and talk about macros every day. You need to dial in your macronutrient ratios. Most of the time you want to do a 40-40-20 split or somewhere along the lines, and you don't want to feed the fat though. So let's say you weigh 180 pounds, but lean mass, you're 160. Set your protein at 160, and then carbs and fats would depend on, it would be hard to explain off of just a generic answer, but you want to have your calorie deficit in check, and then you want to have your protein set at 1 gram, and then carbs and fats are just energy sources that you can use. So you can either up the fats, lower the carbs, up the carbs, lower the fats, and then that's where coaches come into play. Because people say, well, I could do it on my own if I Googled it, but then like most people you see that lose weight, they look like skinny fat because their protein's not high enough. They're not getting enough working, like they're not actually working out hard enough in the gym. So then all they're really doing is burning fat, but they're also burning muscle. So then they just kind of like lose fat and muscle at the same time. Like, yeah, they get smaller, but that's not ideal because you won't be able to maintain that because you need that muscle mass to keep fueling the fire.
Yeah. What's the best form of cardio?
I think hands down the best form of cardio, because people can stick to it, is just walking. Every day you should get 10,000 steps in. And people say they don't have time, but when I start breaking down people's time schedules, they have an hour lunch or a half an hour lunch, or they have 2 hours in between where they got to take their kids somewhere to pick them up. Or you could just literally pace around your house for 10 minutes every hour, and you'll get way more than 10,000 steps if you just took the effort to do it. And that's how you improve heart health.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting because I know friends and colleagues. They actually have their walker. Basically, it's in their office, and they they have their computer or their Zoom, and then they're walking during the day, either during meetings or if they're listening to podcasts. And it's actually it's walking is actually, you do it like in the morning and kind of like in the evening, and then interspersed, and then you can listen to audiobooks, podcasts, talk, we can do short video, communication. So, and it's not something where you're like a full on workout where you're like sweating and you can't. So yeah, I love walking. Walking is really great. You help a lot of clients. So tell how you break into the next level of life, and how can people contact you, follow you on Instagram, and reach out to you?
So everything I do is me. I don't have any salespeople. I do all this organic. I do all my postings. And so if you reach out to me in the DMs, that's how I talk to you. And then I'll tell you. So I'll talk to you for a while because I don't want to just sell you a plan, because if I know your mindset's not there, it's not just about the money. If I know you're going to fail, then I'm not going to bring you on as a client. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to do before you come back to me, and then have you come back to me. So my Instagram is Perry's_powerhouse_fitness. And there's a lot of fitness coaches out there that aren't open with their pricing, and they'll get them on an hour-long phone call. I'm not like that. Like I charge $299 a month or $750 for 3 months. And if you actually break your vices, that's not expensive, because people spend $20 to $40 a day on DoorDash, fast food, alcohol, cigarettes, and any other vices. So I can actually save a client $2,000 every 3 months if they actually took their life serious. So they're like, I can't afford it. But most people, if you tell them that, like, they need to know that they can't not afford it, because one day they're going to look back and have no money in their savings, and their health's going to be bad. And the money that costs you when you're older is way more than that $750 wherever it would be.
Yeah, I love that. And so for all the followers out there, thanks for tuning in. Looks like we had a pretty good turnout, and thanks, Kyle for coming on and talking about it. I love talking military mindset, discipline, nutrition, fitness, and that sets you up to succeed as an entrepreneur, as a CEO. And be sure to check out his Instagram, follow him, follow us, and tune in for more weekly lives.
I appreciate it. Have a great day, man.